child, that your skin can bring you so much pain. Now I hear you say, you got the best of both ways. Won't you come and take a walk in my shoes and tell me if you take my place?
Welcome to episode number 323 of the Inside Running Podcast. Thank you for joining us for another week. Big show coming at you. We got some patrons to thank. We got some running news. We got listener questions. We'll be previewing or maybe like teasing a bit of what's coming up on road to Osaka. Yeah, everything's going to be happening for probably the next 70, 80 minutes for your weekly episode. Welcome, my co-host is up in Canberra, Bradley Croker. How are you this week?
Pretty good, Brady. And yourself?
I'm very good, thank you, Bradley. Cannot complain. And looking forward to this episode. I didn't say it at the end of last week's episode, but we're actually without Moose. He's off to road to Osaka with Rachel and Reese Edwards. So we've got a very special guest this week, Bradley, who I'm about to introduce. She's a 2:26 marathoner, Olympian. She was a winner of a 10K race over the weekend, the queen of the Surf Coast Track Club, and the most popular athlete, Australian runner, going by our 2023 survey croaks. Ellie Pashley, welcome to the Inside Running Podcast.
Thanks. That might have been a bit biased, I think, the survey. Probably I'm the female they hear from the most, more than anything else.
Maybe.
Don't sell yourself short, Ellie.
Thanks for giving us some time though, Ali. I did ask you in a call down on Saturday night if you were available Monday night, and yes, you did accept, and then did make a comment, Croaks, that we only ask her when we can't get other people.
Oh, no, that's not true at all.
Exactly what I said.
I do have a question for Ellie, though. I believe the last episode you recorded with Moose and Sinead, you were doing a Rubik's Cube. I'm wondering what puzzle you're doing today. Is it a Sudoku or a crossword? What's on the table?
No puzzles. I probably should do a bit more of that stuff because I don't know that my brain really works anymore since having a baby. But just just the Rubik. I'll mute my microphone when I get going on it a bit later.
How have you been there, Ali? Like, a lot of listeners wouldn't have heard from you. I guess the Patreon supporters do with the monthly episodes with you, Sinead and Moose. But yeah, give us a bit of a recap of what's been happening the last month.
So marathon training for the last month almost now. So it's been going well. I was coming back from an injury, so we had to be a little cautious for a couple of months there. But then, the last month we've sort of ramped it back up to normal training load and probably a little harder than normal training load, really. Just trying to get ready for Osaka Marathon, which is in about 7 weeks, I think, now. So, yeah, that's pretty much all I've been doing. I had a pretty quiet festive season, just living the monk life. But it's been good. I've been enjoying it. We've got a really good crew down here doing Osaka, so it's been nice to have some training partners, and definitely more enjoyable doing big, 36K workouts when you've got other people doing the same thing with you. So been lucky. And
Osaka's locked in. Like, I know there was talk about Osaka, Nagoya, seeing what you could get into, but you're fully committed to that?
Yeah, Osaka's locked in. So, I'm happy with that. Nagoya would have been really good as well, but I was just worried about getting stuck solo being a women's only race. Like, sometimes once the pack split, it's fairly sort of spread out along the road. So I'm happy with the decision to do Osaka. I feel good about that. And like I said, having the guys to train with who are doing the same race, same day, it makes it I think ideal for everyone.
And Ellie, what was your reaction after Valencia? And like, as a result of the Valencia race, are you feeling a bit more pressure going into the Osaka race?
Yeah, definitely. Like, I mean, it's a huge amount of pressure, really. And I think after Valencia, like, my initial feelings were probably like I felt a little defeated almost. I think the girls ran so fast, which I knew they were going to run fast, but I think that was maybe, a minute or so quicker. And I just sort of, I had to sort of change my mindset, I guess, to planning on trying to run a lot faster than I was originally planning on trying to run in my marathon. And but now that training, like now that we've started training, I actually feel really motivated by it. And I've got to just try and hit a time that's going to get me a spot on the team. And if it's a very high risk approach to racing, which I haven't done a lot of before, but I'm kind of excited by the prospect of that. There's no question marks like, oh, what pace do I go out at, or what's my race plan. Basically I just have to go and try and run 223 low, 223 flat. So that's what we're going to try and do, and hopefully Will and Kieran, who I train with, they're up for the challenge of trying to do that with me. So should be good.
Ellie, sorry, you go, Coach.
Sorry, you go. No, I had a question in regards to now your marathon session. So, I know you and Moose are very much about, you want to train to where your fitness currently is, not like chasing a super fast, goal marathon pace. But are you now running all of your marathon pace sessions at, that 223 pace, or still more of the marathon feel, which, potentially might be a little bit slower than that?
Yeah, no, we've definitely. I actually heard you ask him that in the podcast.
Chat.
Yeah, and it was interesting because that was when we were still. I think it had just happened, and we were trying to make a plan of what to do. And initially, it was sort of like, no, we're just gonna, keep doing what we're doing. Add a few extra stresses like heat and some cross training to try and get an edge. And then, as the marathon block started, we've kind of gone slightly different approach, and we are, essentially when I'm doing marathon pace reps, I'm trying to run 323s. And in a lot of the workouts we're doing, where I might normally be sitting between 325s and 330s, it's sort of, Jules has got me doing stuff faster than marathon pace to finish. So, finishing at 320s, or like our ons and floats are, the ons are quicker than marathon pace, more like threshold. Whereas in the past, it's been kind of, marathon pace and then 20 or 30 seconds slower or whatever. So I think we have kind of gone that approach. And it's a bit like I have to get my body used to running those paces, test it out and see if, we can get, a bit fitter than I've ever been before, which will be, a challenge. But, I'm kind of enjoying it.
Does that mean, though, your workouts are very much like a threshold heart rate for the marathon goal pace?
I've ditched heart rate, so
because of that reason.
Basically yes, because I would be reading into it, and there'd be a lot of the workouts we've done, I reckon my heart rate would have been above threshold, and I don't want to know that. I've also never worn a heart rate in a marathon or for marathon workouts before, so I've never really known, kind of what my heart rate is at for those sessions. So I was always going to ditch heart rate anyway for marathon block, but even more so now that we're running so much faster, because I just don't want to know. It's not going to change what I do on the day. And there's enough ways you can overthink things. So I thought I'd just remove that data, and I'll just use heart rate basically for my recovery days to make sure I'm running slow enough. And maybe if we do a specific threshold session, maybe, but I'm just going away from it for the next couple of months.
It actually dumbs it down really well, doesn't it? When the gun goes in 7 weeks' time, run for as long as you can at 323s.
Exactly.
If you get to the finish line, you probably go to the Olympics.
Yeah. If you don't, then too bad. You tried.
Hope a couple of people get injured.
That's
we don't know.
That's the only thing, I guess, is that going, which
going aggressive.
I would never go the other way, but going aggressive, if I blow up, I'm going to blow up really good, Whereas, say I ran more conservatively and tried to run 225 or 224, and then there is a chance people get injured. You hope that doesn't happen in an Olympic build up, but I'm definitely not going that approach anyway. I've got to try and get top 3 time, I think. So
are you fairly confident though? Looking at my first reaction, and I said to Moose when we saw the Valencia results, were Ellie can do what they can over 10.5. This isn't a ridiculous ask. Are you telling yourself the same things?
Yeah, I'm telling myself that. I wasn't initially, and then I think probably more as I thought about it, and probably when I ran with Jules the next day, and that was exactly what he said to me as well on that run the next morning. And that it is true. All of our halves and 10K times are very similar, so there's no reason really why I can't do that. It's just it's very hard to pull it off, and I'm fully aware of that. But yeah, I've got to keep telling myself that it's possible, basically.
I know I asked Julian as well about, if you weren't having a great day at Osaka, would it be worth pulling the pin and then reloading for another one like within the qualification period? Have you looked at any of those options?
I have looked a little bit. I'm trying not to. I'm not going to think about that anymore until after Osaka, but I have actually looked to see what there is late April, and there's actually, I think on the last day of the qualifying period, there's Copenhagen Marathon in Denmark, which looks flat. It doesn't look like it's typically had really strong deep fields, but it'll be interesting to see what last day of Olympic qualifying period does to that this year. So there's a couple of I'm not going to try and get into any of them or anything until after Osaka, but I can't, if I don't run well at Osaka, I'm definitely going to want to have another crack. So but I'll cross that bridge after, because I don't want to be running Osaka, not feeling good and thinking about that. I want to basically just eliminate that from my mind till after.
So what, Hamburg's April as well?
Hamburg, I think Rotterdam. There's a couple around there, and then Copenhagen early May. London's April as well. But, I mean, we can't get into London late, and I haven't run great at London before, so I think I need to pick a different one.
That's a bit of the isolation stuff as well, though, isn't it, at London, with it being women's only?
Yeah, I think so. I've done it twice. Once was the 2K loops year, and I was coming off an injury and I just wasn't that fit. And then last year, I just didn't really have a great run. So I think I would probably look to do something similar again, like a men's and women's race together, and basically just trying to find as flatter, faster course as possible. Yeah. But I think Osaka's a better option than all of them for me anyway. So.
Yeah, I've got some more questions, Croaks, but do you reckon we get her to recap her week and then we can fire a few more?
Yeah, because I got a few as well, but they're probably more in relation after I hear about Saturday's race.
Yeah. Now, you're off Strava, Ali, so this is like new news to everyone pretty much. Monday through to Sunday.
I've gone dark. So I had a rest day Monday. Coming off, we had a big workout Sunday. And this week was kind of a down week. I'd done 3 weeks of heat in a row as well. So we decided to do no heat and a rest day this week. So Monday off, no cross training, no anything. And then Tuesday, I just did 14.5K in the morning. So probably 14K and some strides. And then Tuesday, Arvo elliptical for 45 minutes. Wednesday morning we had a workout. So we actually went to a new place for this one. It's a housing estate kind of just out of Torquay. It's all these big blocks. It's kind of in the middle of nowhere. And so there's a mile loop around the streets with no cars, perfect new road surface. And I'd seen it on Google Maps before, and then I'd taken my dog for a walk there one day, so I'd kind of seen it, but I'd never actually done a workout there. But I went and drove around it the day before, and we thought we'd give it a go, just because Torquay is really busy at the moment. So where we usually do these ones, it's pretty chaotic on the roads. So so this was good. It was dead flat, fast mile loop, and we had 20 by 500 on 500 float. So the instructions were 320 for the ons and 335s for the float, which is, pretty, not a great deal, not a big difference really between the ons and the floats. And we'd come off we did 28K on Sunday at 335 pace. So our tempo pace was then becoming our float pace, which was a little daunting. But, really good crew. We had myself, Will, Kieran, and then Matt Gunther's coming back from an injury, so he jumped in for the first half. And then Cam Smith, another guy in our group, he's jumping in and helping out with sessions as well, which has been awesome. So we had 5 of us, and poor old Jules was running by himself. And I don't know, will he recap his week on the other podcast?
Yeah, that will mirror this. Okay. They'll do running news. They're going to get guests in there. They've got all these ideas. I'm not sure how it actually is going to go, but he will. But you can throw any loop at him here. Go for it.
So he set the session up wrong on his watch, where he did 500 on 50 seconds float. So he'll talk about it on the thing, but it was pretty brutal. But it took him 4 or 5 reps before he actually realised that he was only floating for 50 seconds instead of 500. So yeah, he put himself in a fair hole. But anyway, we were fine. We didn't stuff it up in our watch. So we basically pretty much hit it perfectly. Like often it was a second or two either side of the goal, but we averaged 320s for the ons and 335s for the off. The other instruction was to aim for 20, but if our paces started blowing out before that, to stop. So Jules said you might only get 13 or 15 or whatever, so just keep going until you can't hold pace anymore, up to 20 reps. But Will and I were able to get through 20. Kieran had been off adventuring for a few days between Sunday and Wednesday, hiking over mountains, so I think he was a bit tired and he had to stop just a bit earlier. But yeah, so we averaged 327s for 20 Ks there. Then
was that a fun workout before we move on? Like, being on for 500 metres isn't a massive amount, but like, did you feel like you recovered in the 500 metre float, or did you feel like you had to keep the foot down to like working it?
Yeah, sometimes it sort of varied. I really noticed that if we went a little bit too fast in the ons, I felt it in the float and probably didn't feel like I'd fully recovered. I got a stitch in the middle of the workout, and so at one stage I thought, I'm gonna might have to stop here and try and get it to go away and then jump back in. But I was able to sort of get rid of it after about 2 or 3 Ks. But yeah, so it kind of went up and down. Like it felt easy at the start, hard through the middle, and then by the end, I think once we only had 5 or 6 reps left, it kind of felt good again, maybe just mentally. I knew we were going to get through it. And yeah, I mean, 335s, as your legs get tired, it doesn't feel as much like a recovery as it does early. But I was happy that 320s still felt quite good. Every time we changed pace, we could sort of, not comfortably, but get to 320s without too much trouble. So yeah, it was fun. It was more fun than I was expecting.
Did you say what your average for the whole 20k?
327.
Yeah, 327.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. It's just good. Whenever you do like times 20 of something, it's just like mentally you're just getting so many benefits.
Yeah. Well, I had no idea how many reps we were up to for a lot of it. I just had what did I have on my watch? Like maybe lap pace and time or something. So it was, every now and then I would check to see how many Ks we'd done, because it was really hard to keep count when it was 500 on 500 float. And pretty early on, I thought, we've probably done close to 10 here, and I think we'd only done 6. So it kind of, it was, But I just tried not to look at that too much until once we got to 5 left, then it was kind of easy to count down. But no.
And do you share the load, or do the boys get in front and give you like the Kipchoge service?
No, we mostly run side by side. It does vary a little bit. I had the inside lane actually pretty much this whole workout, which that was definitely an advantage on a mile loop. But they're good. I was kind of running at the front, a couple of them behind me, and then I had Will beside me. Matt Gunther was maybe running in front of us early on when he was helping us out, but they're really good. They do, like in the 28K the week before, I think Kieran sat on the front nearly the whole time, whenever it got a bit windy. So but we try to share it around.
What did you think of the loop croaks? My DMs are lighting up after this one went up on Wednesday on Moose's.
The only thing I noticed was that he mentioned he stuffed up in his watch. So although I haven't heard his weekly recap, I knew he'd stuffed it from setting it up in his watch point of view. But I don't have his loop up, so
a few listeners think there's a bit of industrial estate about this.
Oh, definitely.
A lot of turns, data looks good. Yeah. Mile only.
An S bend in the middle where every time we went through there, our pace would drop. But it was definitely a bit of mayo. Not as GPS friendly as the crit track in Geelong where we used to train.
Oh, yeah.
But I don't know. I don't care about that because don't think there's anything wrong with getting a little bit of confidence.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know,
I think sometimes, Ellie, when the watch is telling you like good things, it stops you from over pushing as well. It's like, okay, I'm in the zone. I'm actually running now within myself, as opposed to it being the other way, going, oh, I need to run a few seconds faster, and then really burying yourself.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And when I ran my PB at Nagoya, I did a lot of my sessions leading into that on the crit track, and all of my marathon pace stuff was on a GPS friendly course, but I was then able to run the same pace in the race. So I don't know.
Something in it.
Yeah, I don't think it should. I think there are some loops that are ridiculous, like a footy oval. But yeah.
The watch is definitely a bit we saw that on Saturday night on people's track races, coming in 300 metres over.
Yeah, Moose. I'm surprised Moose didn't stop down the back straight once he's Garmin hit 10K.
I said to him walking to the start line, are you going to put it in track mode? And he just goes, no, I don't think I'll worry about that. I'm just like, well, when do you worry about it if you don't put it on for a 10K track race?
Yeah, why wouldn't you do it for a race?
I know.
It doesn't make any sense.
Not sure. But that was your big Wednesday. And then going into a Saturday race, like not a lot of time to recover.
Nah, so I was doing a bit more cross training this week and a few less doubles though. So I actually did have a pretty light couple of days. Thursday I just ran 10.5 in the morning, and then I did 50 minutes on the elliptical in the afternoon. And then Friday I ran 13.5 in the morning, and then elliptical again in the afternoon, 45 minutes. Both pretty easy runs. So yeah, I felt all right. I thought I felt all right Saturday morning. Saturday night, the 10K. So do you want me to talk about that?
What are you watching on the elliptical first?
I've been watching reruns of The Office just because it's nice.
UK or US?
The US one. I don't know how to get the UK one.
Yeah,
what's it on?
Sure. I think it's on Netflix, isn't it?
Yeah,
maybe.
I've been watching it. It depends what mood I'm in. If I just don't want to think and I want to just zone out, I watch that. Otherwise, I've been watching more of the sports docos on Netflix. So I started watching the US women's soccer team one.
Oh, is it good?
Yeah, it was okay. Yeah, didn't love it. I reckon what happened was they went into it thinking that they were gonna
win the World Cup.
Yeah, so it's like geeing up to be like this amazing story, and then it was a bit of a disaster.
They didn't make the finals, did they?
Nah.
Yeah.
No. So yeah, I watched a couple of episodes of that, and then what else have I been watching? Why Women Kill on SBS On Demand. Does anyone watch that?
No.
It's quite good. It's like a weird comedy drama about 3 different women in different decades who all live in the same house, and there's 3 murders. Anyway,
okay.
It's like, yeah, Joyce actually sort of got into it too, which I didn't think he was going to like it, but it was kind of good, easy watching as well. So yeah, I just see what mood I'm in and pick a TV show.
So then the race, the only female in the field?
Yeah, only female. So I heard in the intro you said I won.
You did, by default.
That was very, misleading. So yeah, the race was, like, to be honest, I was a bit disappointed. I wanted to run faster. But yeah, I mean, it was kind of warm, marathon training. I felt like I would have freshened up after a few easy days last week and no heat, but I didn't feel fresh while I was racing. Like the effort for running I think I averaged 3:17, 3:18. That felt, harder than I was expecting it to. And I just felt like I didn't have any go from that pace, but it was okay. We had a pretty good pack. I actually started the race. I ended up in the middle of your pack, Brady, and the next big pack, which I think had nearly everyone else in it. So I ran around by myself for about a K, waiting for Matt, Gunther and Kieran to catch up, which then they did, and that was actually good. I sat in on Matt for a while, and then Kieran and I went round Matt, and we kind of worked together for a bit through the middle. And then, I was able to pick it up a little bit in the last mile, but it was just one of those races that was a bit like, I don't know, I didn't feel that good. Just maybe struggled a little bit for motivation through the middle. And then, it was fine. I ran 32:57, which is okay. But yeah, I was hoping to kind of run somewhere under 32:30.
It's a bit,
That didn't happen.
When that happens, like, it's a bit of a nothing race, really. And it was 26 degrees, Croaks. What's that worth? Felt like it was humid too, Ellie. Felt sticky.
I reckon 26 degrees is definitely worth like 20 seconds, which sort of gets you to that 32:30 sort of range. But,
yeah. I don't know. I felt like training had been going well, and I'm probably still, like, I think the last month block has been really hard, and maybe the fitness from that hasn't kicked in yet, but I feel like I've been able to run sort of 32:30 in hot races before when I was similar fitness to what I am now, but maybe I'm just not quite there yet.
So what have your last couple of weeks looked like in terms of mileage and cross-training hours?
So mileage-wise, I've been running in the 150s, I think. 140s, 150s, and I've been doing about 3 hours of elliptical a week. It sort of depends. When I don't double, I elliptical. So I feel like I've been doing the equivalent of more training than I've ever done, really, because my mileage has only ever really got up to sort of 160-ish without any cross-training.
You probably wouldn't have been doing cross-training when you were running 160 in the past.
No, I never have done any cross-training in the past, basically. So, so mileage has been all right, and then I think we'll probably get up to, like, it'll probably sit around 160 Ks over the next 4 or 5 weeks. And then I'm still going to try and do a little bit of elliptical on top of that as well.
Will you race again, Ellie, between now and Osaka?
Nah, no more races. Nah.
Yeah.
I'm just going to head down, train. I think I raced a lot last year, and I don't know if that was part of the reason I got injured, but I'm not really interested in racing. I just want to, I want everything to be geared around training now. And that 10K was nice to kind of break up the block, but I would have also been happy to not do that and just train through.
You guys don't sit down before the race and say, hey, let's run as a pack, and you take K1 and I'll take K2 and stuff like that? Continue to train with these guys come race day?
Not really. Well, Kieran and I, so Will, our training partner, did a solo 10K time trial that morning and ran 32:28, I think. So Kieran and I's plan was to try and beat him his time. So we were gonna try and sit on 3:15s, and work together. But then when it was so warm, we were like, oh, really? We sort of watched what had happened in the 5Ks and the 10K before us, and everyone had run a decent amount slower, like probably 45 seconds or so slower than what they wanted. So before the race, we talked about it, and I was like, I think we should probably actually start around 3:20s. And Kieran was up for that too. So that was kind of the rough plan. Yeah. But then the first K, I went a little bit quicker accidentally, and I was like, oh, maybe this will be okay. But then, it wasn't. Couldn't quite pull it off. So Will's got one up on us now. He's actually dropped us in a few sessions too. So he's probably got 3 or 4 up on us. But
I paced Will for the back end of Melbourne one year. This was the same.
You did too?
I was talking to Moose. I'm like, is this the same Will guy? And I'm like, yes, I know the guy you're talking about.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah. I was on the bike.
Looking forward to seeing what he can do at Osaka.
He's fit. So he just got an iron infusion because his ferritin was 5 or something.
5.
So he's gone from like battling, and it might have been low for ages, I reckon, because Will got really good really quickly, and then maybe like plateaued for a while, and then anyway he got this iron infusion 4 weeks ago or 5 weeks ago, and now he's flying. So
he wouldn't know himself, would he, off 5?
Nah, he's feeling really good. So he's gonna run a massive marathon PB.
Have you been tracking your ferritin as well? Like, I know you've had issues with low ferritin in the past.
Yeah, I have. It's been it hasn't been too bad. Like it's been hovering kind of in the 40s, so not nowhere near as low as it's been in the past, but it's not dropping like it normally does. But I will probably have another iron test soon, because often when mine drops is in a marathon block. So if it, just to make sure it hasn't, got down around 30 or whatever. But yeah, the last test I had, it had actually gone up slightly from before, that basically never happens for me. So that's good. If I can keep it up around 50 odd, I'll be fine. But if not, I'll probably try and get an infusion before the race.
Yeah. If you have to put a percentage on where your fitness is at the moment, like ideally hoping that you get to race week and it's at 100, where do you reckon you are 7 weeks out?
I don't know. 100 being the fittest I've ever been.
Yeah, like confident you can attack these 3:23s, this 2:23 finishing time, very confident on the start line that your fitness is there and it just need everything to go right on the day.
Yeah, I reckon I'm about 85% there.
Good. It's good with 7 weeks to go.
Yeah, I can run that pace somewhat comfortably, but it's not quite as comfortable as it needs to be. I'm hoping that a bit more time with the big long runs and, a little bit more time spent at that pace, it will start to feel a little more comfortable.
Yeah.
A little more like marathon pace. At the moment I can do it, but I'd say it feels harder than marathon pace.
Yeah. But you think about, say, a 2-week taper, that's still 5 weeks of training to go, 2 big sessions a week. That's still 10 decent workouts you throw into the barn.
Yeah.
You've still got a lot of time to get fit from here.
Yeah.
Or to get fitter.
I reckon that often does happen. How I was saying before, that month I've got behind me, I feel like that hasn't quite kicked in yet. But then if that kicks in and then I can get another really good month, I feel like I'll be fit. I just have to, stay healthy, tick through, we've got some big hard ones coming this next 3 or 4 weeks. So get through them and then, try not to get sick, try not to get injured. And then, hopefully it'll all kick in just in time.
Race day shoe all sorted. I know you were I'm not sure what you were wearing on Saturday night on the track. It wasn't a spike though.
No, so I've got the Supercomp Elite version 4, which I've got a prototype of them, but they're about to be released, I think, in early Feb. So I'll wear a new pair of them. I really, really like them, actually. I think they are much like a big upgrade from the previous SC3s. And they feel really good on the road. They're not quite as soft, but they feel a little bit more aggressive, a bit more responsive, which I don't like soft shoes. So not quite as soft is actually good for me. And that'll definitely be my marathon shoe. So, but I need to get some fresh ones though, because the ones I've got, I've worn to probably done 600 Ks in them. They're pretty shot.
This is the one, I think I've seen it on social media. It's probably the real first New Balance shoe that's looked super chunky and super. Would that be fair to say? It almost looks like those big Adidas ones a bit.
It looks real. I agree. I think the sole looks a lot like the Adidas one. So the idea is that they've cut away. It's slightly higher stack, I think, and it definitely feels more aggressive, the rocker. But they've cut away all the bits of foam that don't do anything. So they basically worked out within the sole exactly what they needed to get what they wanted, and then every other bit of foam that wasn't necessary has been shaved out almost. That's why it's got that kind of weird geometrical shape to it, which is a little similar to the Adidas one. So I don't know what the Adidas ones feel like, but they feel really good.
That's good.
I like them.
Have confidence in your race shoe.
I'm obviously biased, but
do you know when they come out? You just said they're coming out soon, but have you got a date?
Early Feb. I don't know the exact date, but I know Jules really liked them, so he ordered a lot of them for the Geelong store, and I think Bree's got a pair as well, which I'm not sure if she's actually tried them yet, but I think it's early Feb. Apparently they're coming into Australia sometime in Jan, and then they'll be released early Feb.
Cool. Very good.
So, another competitor, which is good.
Yeah, well, I feel like every brand's got one now, don't they?
Yeah.
The big players anyway.
Yeah.
Rightio, Croaks, what have you been doing? Match that.
Oh, well, one more question for Ellie. Reason for going off Strava?
That was when I was injured, coming back from injury. Like we were on a little bit of a timeline as far as I couldn't do a really conservative rebuild because I had to try and get fit enough to do a marathon early this year. So I didn't really want people watching and judging, and this was Jules as well, we discussed it, watching and judging what we were doing. Basically, we just wanted to do what we felt was best without any external comments, I guess. And I actually kind of like being off Strava, just like plugging away down here training. I don't know, it's kind of it's been I've done this before where I've gotten off Strava for a little bit and then come back on. I do really like Strava, but I also enjoy just sort of going away and training and no one knowing what I'm doing every now and then for short periods.
Until you come on the podcast and recap your week.
I like your honesty.
Yeah.
No, but it's like, how many avenues of like mental space do you have? Do you know what I mean? It's just like, you don't have time to respond to that or take those opinions in, and it's just like, I get it.
Yeah. Like Jules and I were confident in how we were going to do it, and we just sort of wanted to go and plug away and do it. And I probably thought I would come back on to Strava once I'd done that rebuild and I was back doing normal training. But then I decided I was just going to stay off for this block and just, just train and not worry about. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Plus, after Julian's watched stuff up, Bree's got all the crowns around town anyway, so there's no point being on Strava.
I got about 60 emails saying Brianne Hook has stolen your CR.
I thought that'd be the case.
I messaged her. I was like, "Excuse me, Bree." She's like, "No, it's not me. It's Jules."
Very good.
She does often get my CRs anyway, though, so it's not an unusual thing. But I got about 60 in one day. I thought was a bit harsh.
Very good, Bradley. Tell us about your week.
So I kicked off on New Year's Day. Had a bit of a later run because we stayed in the city on New Year's Eve and took the kids down to the lake for the fireworks, and then had breakfast at the hotel, which it was cool. They had the Canberra International Tennis Tournament was on, so a lot of the big dogs were in that hotel. So it's always cool seeing like elite athletes sort of at the dining hall and seeing what they're getting stuck into. I didn't get out till around.
Do you have to give the hotel a plug? Because weren't you staying there for free?
Well, Viv won it through Passions on the Field. So no, we don't need to give it. I think it's called the Deco, but we don't have to give it a plug. So it was like a pretty sort of overcast day, but then when I went out to run, the sun sort of came out, so it ended up being a bit steamy. I wore the Saucony Triumph 21, which Moose was generous enough to send down. Quite enjoyed that shoe, so that'll be sort of one of my regular just easy running shoes, or probably not my like long run shoe, but just those sort of hour runs. So I did just over 10k, 45 minutes, and then Tuesday morning I had a pretty decent group down at the lake. Warmed up. It was super humid morning, but then just as we finished the warm up, started to rain, and the rain was actually like really good. It sort of just cooled things down a little bit. And you know those hot mornings where like the rain doesn't bother you because it's so warm. So end up being a pretty good session. I'd say it's probably the best session I've done since coming back. So the session was 8 minutes, 8-minute rep, and then a 2-minute sort of slow jog recovery, 6 by 1 minute on, 1 minute sort of standing recovery, 2 minutes recovery after the last 1 minute, and then another 8-minute rep. So ran like 3:18s for the first 8-minute rep. Was rolling sort of mid 250k pace for the 1 minute reps, and then 3:11s for the last 8 minutes. And what I found for this one was like, I reckon I would have struggled to have run 3:11s for that first 8 minutes, like all out, just because it was first rep of the morning. But after having done some 1 minute reps at 250 to 255, running 311s felt like probably smoother than the 318s. Like heart rate got relatively high, but I felt smooth running that pace. So that gave me a fair bit of confidence that, you know, I could probably break 16 minutes if I can sort of run an 8-minute rep at the end of a session at that sort of pace. So I was really happy.
Absolutely, you can break 16 minutes.
So, yeah, I guess I just don't know sort of where my fitness is at, because I've been training with guys that have been running around sort of 16 minutes, or a couple of guys that haven't broken 16, and like training with them, the sessions have been pretty solid for me. So, but I think, yeah, based on that session, I was like, yeah, like if I had to race, like surely I can run, hold this for 8 minutes if I was fresh. So
what were you running your threshold at, like before all the heart stuff, when you were fit?
So I was doing 6-minute reps at like probably 310s to 315s.
So you were doing a lot of treadmill stuff at 320s though, weren't you?
Oh, that was the year before.
Okay.
Yeah. But this year was, I was running, around 310s probably for like 6-minute reps off a minute. I remember just before I had to stop running, I did like a 2x8K with a 3-minute jog in between. I think I averaged 320s for that whole session. That was like gearing up for Gold Coast Marathon. So I feel like over the shorter reps, I feel pretty smooth. It's just, I find at the moment, the longer continuous sessions, I do start to sort of struggle a little bit, sort of 15, 20 minutes in, whereas these ones here where I get like to stand around for a minute, I feel way better. But that's always going to be the case when, you're running 70K and your long run's not very long. You're just, lacking a bit of strength.
Is it been surprising to you, like, because this session I reckon shows that you're pretty bloody fit. Like, are you amazed that you can get that fit off 70Ks and lighter intensity sessions than what you're used to?
Yeah, like I think the sessions probably haven't been that lower. I'd say the sessions I've probably been running them as I would if I didn't have a heart issue. So some of them have been pretty difficult, but definitely in terms of like my overall volume has been significantly lower. Like, some weeks I was running 4 days, others I was running 5 days. So yeah, I think for just like base fitness, I'm really happy with where I'm at. But there's always that mental component, whereas I think when you've been used to running like 130, 140, 150, 160K a week, you sort of feel like, I'm not running to my capacity. So it's probably more mental than anything that I'm like, I'm not as fit as I should be or could be because of what I'm doing. But this was definitely probably the first session where I'm like, okay, I'm going okay if I can do that. So then on Wednesday, got out for my sort of midweek long run. So I've slowly started to just increase things. I don't know, it may have coincided with like the start of the year, but my midweek runs were sort of 70 minutes maybe. So I did 80 minutes at 4:17s on the Wednesday morning. Thursday, I went out so we had an undulating sort of fartlek session on the Friday. And we were doing it sort of out near Stromlo on this dirt trail, and it was pretty undulating, but there's a few areas where the surface was a bit sketchy, and I just thought, it's just risky running fast over that sort of terrain. So I wanted to find somewhere that was maybe the surface was a bit better, but we could still get some undulation. So at the Arboretum, which is sort of close to Stromlo, they've sort of paved a lot of the trails now. So I ran out there and ended up being pretty hilly. Like I did 10.7K with like 200 meters of elevation in like 45 minutes. So it probably wasn't the easy run that I would normally have on a Thursday, just because I wanted to work out exactly where we would do the session. And then Friday was the session. So we did nine times 2 minutes 15 on 75-second float. And so I covered, and like pace, I guess, is pretty irrelevant for this because some reps are uphill, some reps are downhill, but traveled 8.6K in just over 30 minutes, averaged 331s with about 170 meters of elevation. So it was a pretty solid session, but what I liked about it was we sort of had a downhill start. We had the majority of the hills in the middle, and then it was slightly downhill. So coming off the tough hills, you then started to feel pretty smooth running sort of downhill and then on the flat. So it's definitely a session that we'll definitely keep training out there if we want to do sort of undulating tempo type stuff. So that was Friday.
That
Saturday,
would go into our in our categories of hilly versus undulating versus flat. That's like 20 meters a K. That would be considered really hilly.
Yeah, it's an interesting one because the hills are real. None of the hills were really long, but they were quite steep in sections. So yeah, and like I find sometimes with the watches, like I don't know how accurate the elevation gain is because I always look at other people on the same session and it can vary by like 20 meters per watch. So yeah, I don't know, but I guess yeah, it was still. Yeah, there's still enough hills in there, and I was pretty happy to average 3:30s for that sort of that session, 30 minutes worth. I took Saturday off because I figured, it was going to be like my biggest week since June, and I hadn't run like 7 days since then, so I took Saturday off, and then Sunday I met Zach, who I've sort of been doing most of my sessions with. So yeah, he's gearing up for Canberra Marathon. So we thought we'd go out to Stromlo Arboretum area, which is a bit hillier than Mulligan's. And I planned to do sort of close to 2 hours. And we ran, a fair bit faster than I thought we'd run out here because it is quite hilly. But I did 28K, average 406s, got in, 478 meters of elevation. But once again out there, it's like, I don't know, if you've got my file open, like there's a massive chunk where you're pretty much running flat, but when you're running up the hills, they're pretty steep. So you get a lot of elevation in a short period of time. And that
you're running fast up those steep hills too.
There's a bit of old school crooks about this, Ellie, isn't there? Sunday when I saw this pop up, I'm like, our boy's back.
Yeah, this used to be every when was it? 2018, maybe like every second or third week. And this was when actually Reece Edwards was living in Canberra. So I used to do this with him a bit out here, and we'd sort of get rolling up some of these hills. But it was probably a bit harder than it should have been, especially given it was my longest run, it was my fastest, and it was my hilliest since June, all in one run. So anyway, it was a week of 102K.
Getting strong off that week.
Feeling all right.
So are you 102? Are you like allowed to do that, or?
I don't know.
30K.
I do have to. Viv's staring at me. Viv's not really impressed with what I've been doing. When I told her on like Saturday, I'm like, I only got to run like 26K tomorrow, and I crack 100K, and she's like, what are you doing? She's like, I'm going to message Brady and Julian now and blah, blah, blah. No, like I haven't. I do have to get back in touch with Andre because, I was meant to have like a review before Christmas, which, obviously didn't happen. But I also figure like I've got this loop recorder inserted and it's been set that, they will get a notification if I go into an arrhythmia. So if my heart rate goes above 195, I'm guessing they get notified. And nobody's contacted me saying, hey, there seems to be an issue here. But before I go any higher than what I'm doing now, I'll definitely touch base with Andre and probably get down to Melbourne for a bit more testing again.
It's good that you can do it though. As you said, they would have been flagging it if something was going on. Yeah,
like whether I should be doing it or not, I don't know. But it's just hard. Like you start to feel a bit of fitness coming back and you're like, but imagine how good. This is
probably where you got to be careful because you are getting fit and
probably
loving it. Obviously, you just got to be sensible though.
And because it's always that whole, imagine like I'm going pretty well, but I just feel like I just need a little bit more strength. And it's like, well, how do you get strength? You just go a bit longer on a Sunday and you just add a little bit more volume over the week. Because as I said, like my sessions I feel for the last month have been probably the same intensity that I would run without a heart condition. It's just my volume hasn't been very high. Whereas now I just, obviously would love to try and increase that a little bit. I'll reach out to Andre this week, I think.
A hilly fast longer long run though is going to be a fair bit more strain on your heart. So you got to talk to Andre. I think.
Because there's no end game, is there, Croaks? Like, it's not like you're trying to break 2:40 at a marathon in 6 weeks.
No, I don't know. I still have some. I haven't really told anybody, but I still got some sort of ambitions. But
yeah, but not small term. Nothing like to push the envelope before you meet Andre.
No, not in the next. Not in the next few months. But it's like, you want to train to be able to train, sort of thing.
Okay. What do you give us an announcement?
Nah, not yet. I don't want to do any of that because it's just because I haven't been given the okay to train properly or race properly. So I don't want to start making announcements because it then sort of goes against, like it's almost like I'm going totally against my cardiologist by like saying, oh, hey, I'm going to do this event. So, but you
also don't want to have it so set in your head that then you're like, oh, if I'm going to do that event, I need to run 30 something, because that might tempt you to do more than.
Yeah. So no, you're right. I do have to message Andre, and I might even do it. Yeah. Well, might even send him a message while Brady recaps his week.
I can do that sooner rather than later.
He's got a holiday house about 2 k's from here, Brad. So I might run into him over the next couple of days. Then you'll be in trouble.
Yeah. All right. I'll message him now while you're talking, Brady.
I'll go through my week. My week was also a bit of a break in marathon training, so a bit of a down week, a bit of a race week. I cut out most of the doubles, cut the mileage back. Question for both you two, though. You're both coaches. When you got a 10K race coming up on the Saturday, what workout do you do on the Wednesday, Croaks? Because you don't want it to be too big that impacts the Saturday race, but at the same time, wasn't going to do a long run Sunday. No big marathon workout Sunday. So what do you do on the Wednesday? Tricky question.
Well, I think for most races, like at that taper week, I often do some stuff at race pace.
But I was kind of getting that from the race. Do you know what I mean? I was like, on the weekend, I'm going to get my 3-minute K pace.
But you're talking about the week leading up to it, aren't you?
I'm talking about the way, like 4 days before. When you're doing a race in a marathon block. Do you know what I'm trying to say here? Yeah. I was really torn about what workout to do on Wednesday.
It depends how much you care about the race. Yeah. Like, because if you don't care about it at all and your focus is the marathon, like I agree with what Brad said. That's exactly the sort of session I would normally give someone before a 10K, like some 10K pace stuff and some faster stuff.
Yeah.
But I also know what you said. You're running at 10K pace on the Saturday. And if your focus is the marathon, then just I wouldn't even worry. Like my session would be a marathon specific session.
Yeah.
Because the 10K doesn't really matter.
Yeah. That's what I went with. Yeah. So I did Monday, I did 11K in the morning at 4:48 because I was coming off that long run workout, and then 30 minutes in the afternoon at 4:39s. Tuesday, 16K and a couple of strides. And then Wednesday, I did go for 4x3K reps at around marathon pace effort, off 2 minute slow jog. It was pretty hot though. It was 20 degrees and 92% humidity. So I kind of gave myself permission to run 2 or 3 seconds a K slower. And then in the first couple of reps, I was kind of good, hovering around like 160 beats per minute and about 320K pace, which is usually where I'm at for that pace. And then it just crept up on me and got me in like rep 3 and then rep 4. My heart rate was getting pretty close to like 170. And really like, you got a race coming up in a couple of days and you don't want to get like too deep in the well. So kind of just getting the workout done to try and tick some marathon pace work, because it's probably going to be a week before I was going to get back to it on the following Wednesday. So like just weird mentally, but got it done. Started at 6 a.m, finished at 7:30. I told Ellie this story on Saturday, Croaks, but finished the workout, got in my car, and we'd had a lot of rain the night before. I think we had like 60 mil. And I parked in the normal spot I usually park it in. And then when I got out of my car for the warm-up, I'm like, oh, there's a bit of water around, but didn't think about it too much. And then I went to drive out and my car was bogged. The Kia wasn't a good sign. And I was about 3K from home, so I ran home. I tried to put some like rocks under the wheels to try and like get that to give me a bit of traction to get it out of there. And I'm on the side of like the highway, like cars driving past can see me, like what's this guy doing? So I jogged home, had a shower, I sent my mate a message. He's got one of those big Ram trucks. You can see those in Canberra Crocs.
Yeah.
You would have seen a few of Summernats on the weekend, wouldn't you?
I didn't go to Summernats. One of my mates has got a Ram actually to tow his caravan around Australia.
Yeah, they're massive, those things. So I sent him a message just being like, hey, can you just come? Like, this is pretty embarrassing. Can you just come pull me out of here? And he's like, yeah, no worries. But this guy also owns like a tow truck company. So then I was waiting out there. I got Carly to drop me back out there. And this massive like tow truck arrives with this like, not even my mate driving it, just like one of his tradie employees. And he's just like asking me what I'm doing out here and why I run and all this kind of stuff. So it was, yes, quite embarrassing getting my car towed out of the mud on Wednesday morning. No double. Thursday did 10K at 4:53s. So these like Thursday, Friday was like, how slow can I jog to be able to recover for Saturday? And then Friday I ran 12K at 4:41s, ran with a long-time listener, Patreon supporter, Andy Lane. He was in town, travelling through on his way back to Perth. So, jogged with him. And then I did 15 minutes when we got to Geelong, just really to move my legs. It was like 3.5 hours drive. Just wanted to, shake him out a bit. Saturday morning before the race, did 20 minutes in Eastern Gardens. Why don't you guys do more workouts in there, Ellie? Eastern Gardens. Rolling hills, nice surface.
Yeah, we used to. I'm looking at your loop now. We did used to do tempos and thresholds around that loop a little bit, but
it's a bit short,
I think
though, isn't it? 2K? Is it 2K round?
It's a bit over 2, I reckon. It's quite good if you want like an undulating tempo. It's just to get to Eastern Park from the coast is a bitch because you have to go all the way through Geelong. It's like it would take me an hour to get there.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. So we don't, like some of the Geelong-based guys do the odd session there, but we don't really. It's just too much of a pain to get to.
Did you ever do the AV race in there, like the 16K cross country?
Nah, but I've run on that course before with Brett Coleman, but I never actually did the race when it was there. No, that would have been quite good, was it?
It was. It was all on like the grassy like side of the path kind of thing. And Nationals was there 1 year as well.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, that was
It's
good.
a bit, I used to work down on the waterfront in Geelong and I used to run along there at night and it's creepy like after work sometimes when it was dark. It was super creepy. So I actually stopped doing it. Like there's some real, in the morning it's fine and during the day it's fine, but at night there's some
there was some odd cats getting around there Sunday morning. They got a bat problem there as well. There's a big sign about how the bats might be close to the ground when it's hot and stuff. That was new. Anyway, race Saturday night, surf club, track night, 10K. It was a pretty good field for me. Like there were no absolute superstars there. A couple of like Nate Stote was there, 29.40 guy. Ben Beisch was there. I think he ran 30.01 a couple of weeks ago. Alex Harvey come down from Noosa. Who else was in the lead pack? Craig Appleby. 29 high guy, Moose, 29 high guy. So it was kind of like good that we kind of had this pack of people without, a superstar kind of blowing us out of the water up the front. Perceived effort for me was huge early. Like I kind of probably settled in 5th or 6th on the rail. We kind of strung out pretty quick. And I was like, this first K feels super fast. It's got to be like 2:58, 2:59. And it was like a 3:05. And then I was like, this is going to be maybe just a, breaking 31 kind of night, which would be pretty like in line with what we saw in the other races. And then 2nd and 3rd K, we actually picked it up. I think we ran a couple of 3-minute Ks and we went through 3K close to like 9:05, maybe like 9:07, and we were still all together. And then the boys at the front just backed it off. This was Nathan Stote actually. He kind of led the first 5K, so like 12.5 laps. We went through 5K in 15:18, and I think we were still together. And then a few guys just started dropping off the back. I think Ben Ludbrook dropped off first, and then maybe Moose around like 6 or 7K. And then I was just really working on covering the moves to be able to stay with the lead pack. Just like that comfort of like being with a group when you're on the track. I feel when you drop, it's a long way when you still got kind of like 7, 8, 9, 10 laps to go. So I just kept playing mind games, like stay until 10 laps to go, stay until 3K to go. And then we dropped apples off the back as well. And then Ben Beischer like stepped off the track, probably with 5 laps to go. And then it was down to the 3 of us. And I was almost shocked that I was there with 3 laps to go. And I was starting to think about what way I could potentially try and win the race. I was getting the sniff crooks. My eyes were starting to light up. I'm like, I might win this thing. Haven't won a decent race in a long time. And then just as that thought come into my mind, Alex Harvey went to the front again, put in a massive surge. He ran the last K in about 250. I think Nath Stote ran in about 253 or 4. And all I could muster up was a 257. I was trying hard, but those boys left me for dead in the last 1K. So I finished up in 30.25 for third. We were 15.18 and then 15.07 for the second half. There was a real fine line I felt between like running 71s, felt like I was on my limit and I was really like struggling, but then would kind of slow occasionally and run a 73, 74, and I felt like that was almost like perfect and I was comfortable. So it was a good experience. Hot, like they had the water going over the track with 100 metres to go, which was nice to cool down a bit. But I did feel
that was good.
But then it hit you. It was coming out pretty hard. That it hit your face and you had to close your eyes. Did you notice that?
Yeah.
And
I was doing that a bit as well.
Big puddle kind of formed.
Got really wet.
Yeah. So it was
but
nice.
Better than no mister though.
And then just like singlet like sticking to you and just it felt like a bit sickly. But I think my prediction last week was between 30.20 and 30.40, and I probably said that before I knew what the weather was. So I think this is probably probably the top end of where I kind of thought my fitness was, which was good. And then Sunday I just got out for 10K at like 4:55 pace. I was a bit busted up, had like stuff all sleep by the time you get to bed, and I had a bit of caffeine before I raced. I was rolling off like 6 hours, and I was just jog easy. Went around Eastern Gardens again, and then just recover before I come home today on Monday. So slow, low K week. I think it was like 114 or something, but that was kind of the purpose of it all. Good to be back.
I reckon that was pretty good. I reckon that was a good run by you, Brady.
Yeah, I'll take it. Yeah, to be as close to those boys. Like Nath ran 29.40 at Zatopek like 4 weeks ago. He's probably only fitter, and I think I was like 4 seconds behind him. So maybe I
was surprised. So you don't think you would be in sub 30 shape in a good day, not in the middle of a marathon block?
Yeah, maybe. It's just so hard to tell, I guess. That was more like I was more confused about doubting my fitness, just confused about the fitness, about exactly where it's at. But I haven't been doing a lot of sharp stuff. Like I've been doing my faster workouts kind of at like 3:10 pace. Not so much. Like I haven't done anything under 3 minute pace other than like a couple of strides. And I was like, I wonder if that's going to like hurt me to come try do it for 10K on the track. But it was all right. I think the strength is the most important thing. And I think that's why when a couple of other people were falling off, it was just the strength I was relying on just to like stay in contact. And I probably used all my like bickies trying to cover the moves and stay with those two boys out in front, that when it come to the kick down, I was done.
Yeah, you still did a negative split on a warm night, which is pretty rare in a 10K in the heat, I reckon.
Yeah.
So put you on the spot, Ellie, and to, I guess, fuel the Brady versus Moose rivalry. So Brady tails up Moose by 30 seconds over 10K 7 weeks out from Osaka. Does Brady cross the line ahead of Moose in Osaka?
He's a 2:14 guy. This is like, I know I can beat him at 10K, but you can't say, do you reckon Brady can beat Killen and Jornay at a trail marathon?
Yeah,
it's not going to happen. It's a different event.
Moose is not a 2:14 runner at the moment.
He's been doing more impressive workouts than me.
He is fit though, yeah. And he is not good at 10Ks or basically, yeah.
And I'd like to think I'm pretty okay at 10Ks.
Yeah, but I actually reckon, Brady, like watching your training that you did leading into this with all those big long runs, and I actually reckon you're going to go into this fitter than you've ever been for a marathon.
Hopefully.
So I think you should be able to run a decent PB, and I think Julian, if he can stay healthy the next 7 weeks, his training is going so well. Like his marathon sessions have been really, really good. He just needs to not push it too much. Like he just needs to keep going like he's going and not get injured, and I think he can run well under 2:20 as well. I actually think you'll be quite similar. I don't like, he always is very good at performing in marathons, like almost above expectation, I reckon. But I don't know, I reckon you should both be running together.
I think we will be. Craig Appleby, Michael Marantali, half of Australia is doing this race. It's going to be a big pack of us hovering around each other, which will be comforting.
it's too early to sort of say what kind of pace you're going to run, and probably the same for Jules too. But yeah, I'll be interested to see at the end of the block where you guys put yourselves, because I think for Julian, he's a little unsure of where he's at, but his sessions have been really good. But he's probably in like an unfamiliar kind of fitness realm. Does that make sense?
Yeah. A lot can happen these next 7 weeks too. Like just getting over there is a big thing. Like being healthy on the start line.
Yeah.
Or the marathon preps can cook it. In these last 7 weeks. But anyway, stay tuned.
Yeah, you'll be right. You've got the strength behind you from the block you did before, though.
And all the hills you've been doing, Brady.
All those Colbo hills, Ellie. I was talking to your mum about those. Colbo. She's got a few different spots for me. She reckons there's some more hills a bit further down that road.
The one we did was hilly enough, I reckon. Keep running there.
Yeah, will, I reckon. Let's thank some Patreon supporters, Croaks.
All right, I've got Ryan Callahan this week. Ryan's from Washington in the US, District of Columbia. I think he must have spent a bit of time over in the UK because he's run 15:29 for 5K at the 2022 Battersea Under the Lights 5K. He ran 33:18 at the 2023 Asics London 10K and 70:30 at last year's Richmond Half. Also think he went to the Cheltenham High School in Pennsylvania. So thanks for your support, Ryan, and it's always nice to have a US Patreon.
Yeah, good on you, Ryan. Who you got, Ali?
I've got Leah Fitzgerald. So she's from Sandy Beach in New South Wales, which is near Coffs Harbour. She ran 2:46 at the 2022 Berlin Marathon, and a week later ran 2:48 in London. Wow, that's pretty bloody impressive. Won last year's Cadbury Marathon, as well as the 2022 Noosa Marathon. Yeah, I was going to say, otherwise she's been around for 20 years. 2022 Noosa Marathon. So, yeah, winning some domestic marathons over here, and 2:46, she's a very high-level runner. We think she's a business manager at Southern Cross University. So that's up on the Sunshine Coast, isn't it? Southern Cross?
Yeah, I think they have a few different campuses. I think there's one up around Coffs Harbour as well.
Oh, yeah, Coffs Harbour, yeah, of course. I think when we were up training on the Sunshine Coast in 2021, we were running at the track at the Southern Cross University there. They have like a really nice pool and track and good facilities.
She's smart and fast. That's a good job title, business manager.
Yeah. Thank you, Leah.
Thank you, Leah. I'm going to thank Christopher Williams. Pretty sure he's an Aussie living in Rotterdam. So he'll be able to see Calvin Kipton in action in April. He's a business development engineer at BP, as in the petrol station, Croaks.
Yeah.
Okay. Studied at the University of Melbourne, and he did a Masters of Chemical Engineering. Unfortunately, his Strava is locked down, so we're not sure what kind of PBs he's got. But how good are those job titles? Masters of Chemical Engineering. He'd be a smart guy, Christopher. Massive thanks for your support. Yeah, and Leah and Ryan. If you like what we do on this show, you can support us at patreon.com/Inside Running Podcast. We have some monthly episodes dropping. Toby and Chris are coming up this week. Been talking to them. You're also the Road to Osaka series, thanks to Mizuno, which is going to be coming out to the general population. You'll get the uncut version on a Wednesday on Patreon. Everyone else gets it on Saturday. And you'll also get the video of it. So if you like watching podcasts, they're actually recording the video of it now. And you'll also get a private link to be able to watch that. So that's another bit of a bonus there. You also get this show, obviously, early on a Monday night. And, we really appreciate our patrons over there for keeping us alive on the airways. Moose got a haircut on Saturday, Croaks. He looks pretty good. He's getting ready for the live show.
How would you explain his haircut?
It looks like Bree had put a bowl on his head and then just hacked at the sides of it. He was copping a bit of shit in the cool down. People asking him if he knew how old he actually was. I thought it looked alright, but yeah, very bowl cut like.
I love how you don't rip into Moose at all when he's here, and then I feel like tonight it's just all right, Moose is not here, I'm into him.
When he's not here, you just go
if
hard.
You rip into him, he comes back too hard. It's not worth it.
Yeah, so it's
better to do it when he's not here.
Yeah. It was just an observation about his haircut, Croaks. It wasn't too much. And I like to stand up to myself when he's on there.
Yeah, sometimes.
Look,
we've had some good debates.
His hair's going, so he's got to make the most of these cool young haircuts while he can.
Looked all right.
It's on the way out.
Let's go to running news. Croaks, what are you telling us about the Dubai Marathon?
Yeah, before we get to Dubai, Brady, I think we should. I think we dropped the ball a little bit with our awards show last week, particularly with Performance of the Year. I don't think we actually mentioned Ollie Hoare's 3:29.41 at the Oslo Diamond League, which broke Stewie's Aussie record.
Apologies to Ollie Hoare if he's listening.
Yeah.
You record these things, Ali, and then you get people to like proof check them, and then the people don't pick up on it. And then it makes me look bad when people don't do their job and actually correct
it.
it.
In your DMs.
I only got one, and it was a polite one. I just didn't, hey, FYI, you missed this one. But Ollie Hoare, it was a good record. But he, I think because he did that and then got injured and then pretty much missed the whole year.
Yeah.
He just he was not even on my radar that actually happened last year, and coming off the highs of the year before in the Commonwealth Games win. There was also a little comment about like Catriona Bisset going under the radar, not rating her as high as we some people thought we should have.
For consistency,
did
I think.
Did she break her own record again?
Yep,
yeah, she did. Yeah.
But it was more like she dominated domestically, and then like her Diamond League record was actually pretty good as well.
Yeah,
but then World Champs, I don't know where, did she get through the semis at the World Champs, Croaks, or go out in the heats?
I think she may have made the semis.
Yeah, okay.
Didn't make it to the final. But maybe next year, Brady.
Harder final to make. It only goes to 8 people, that final.
Yeah, it does, yeah. And maybe next year, Brady, we just need to go on a boys' trip the week before and lock ourselves in a room and go through all the stats.
Yeah.
Yeah, because even like his run was 1,253 World Athletics points, which was more than both Lyndon and Kai's Aussie records for the year. So, you could argue that was almost performance of the year. Yeah.
Statistically. And then you
329.
So, we missed that one. But we'll get better. We'll work on ourselves and we'll better ourselves for 2024.
But we'll go to the Dubai Marathon. And the reason I added this to the agenda was there was a couple of people on debut that ran pretty impressive races. So in the women's, Tigist Ketema from Ethiopia, she ran 2:16.07. And what was interesting about her, almost similar to the other Tigist who holds the world record, was that she was predominantly a middle distance runner. It was like an 800, 1,500 metre specialist and had never competed in anything longer than 10K before this marathon. So, to run 2:16.07 on debut is pretty impressive. Rudy Agar was second, 2:18.09, and Dira Dida was third in 2:19.29. In the men's, Addisu Gobena from Ethiopia, he's only 19. He ran 2:05 on debut to win.
19.
He's 19,
That's
yeah. And so what's interesting about him is he's the nephew of that Ruti Aga who finished second in the women's race, and he started out in athletics as a javelin thrower. It was on the World Athletics write-up today, and I'm like, I've got to add this because how many distance runners do you know that started in javelin?
Especially in Ethiopia.
Yeah, that's crazy. So Lemmy Demetra was second, 2:05.20, and Dejane Magersa was third in 2:05.42. So that 19-year-old who won prior to today, or prior to this race, his only known performance was a third-place finish at the Delhi Half Marathon 3 months ago.
Yeah, he ran 60:51.
Quite unknown, yeah. So they're two names to keep an eye out for.
I would love someone to tell me the answers to this. Why do Ethiopia pretty much dominate Dubai every year? Have you ever noticed that?
Yeah, isn't it something about the holiday periods that?
Maybe, yeah.
I remember hearing something where like Kenyans do sort of have a bit of a quieter period, and that's like a celebration towards the end of the year.
Yeah, could
whereas
be that.
Maybe Ethiopia don't, and they train. I did hear something like that. I don't know whether it's true or not.
Okay.
Often there seems to be some relatively unknown people run really fast in that Dubai one too, doesn't there?
Yeah. What about Ethiopia though? For years and years, it was almost like Kenya was sort of the main powerhouse, but I feel like Ethiopia now, across a lot of those distance events, like from 5K up, have a lot of the better athletes.
Yeah, depth as well. Like there's so many. Yeah.
What did Bakili run at Valencia?
2:04.
Is he going to go to the Olympics? He's quicker than this guy, yeah. He'll be a chance, won't he?
Nah, there'd be others that have run.
Oh, yeah, too. They got
faster, I
Tola
reckon.
as well. Yeah, okay. Yeah, 2:04.19.
Yeah.
Jeez, rough,
They'll
isn't it?
often, Kenya often announce their team relatively early. That's probably
They've
they're probably not
shortlisted
far
it.
off.
I reckon they announced like a team of 10 people.
Okay.
Yeah, because they left off someone that was pretty good. Remember I put that in the group chat a couple of weeks ago, Croaks?
Yeah, you did.
I can't remember who it was, but it was a guy, I think he won. Did he win Boston or? Yeah, something like that. He was good.
Yeah.
Can't think of it off the top of my head. Surf Coast track meet, this happened. The 5K was first up. Jake Stevens got the win there, 15:15. Liam Hanrahan was second in 15:19. Liam Werrett third, 15:21. First female was Melissa Duncan in 15:58. The 10K, Alex Harvey got the win in 30:18. Nath Stote second, 30:21. And the first female was Ellie Pashley in 32:57.
What about you,
Mate, it's like,
Well, I
okay,
said
you
my...
got mentioned.
I was
Come
third,
on.
guys. That's what I was thinking with a lap to go. I'm like, stay in third so I can mention myself. No, like I recapped that before that I was third in 30:25, so you don't need to say that twice. So, yeah, that was... What was the reflections on the meet, Ali? We're seeing a lot of these probably smaller club-run meets start up. We saw like the Collingwood Classic and the like Athletics Essendon have taken the B grade Zatopek, which it used to be called, to make that a good opportunity for people to race. Richmond Harriers have got their 5K. You guys are obviously trying the same thing.
Yeah, I think they got really good feedback. I mean, the events filled up really quickly, so there's so much demand for these nighttime long distance meets that are purely, the 5Ks and 10Ks. Yeah, good weather, nice, like relaxed start line area, which isn't always the case at these events. Yeah, I think it was good. I reckon last year there were maybe a few more spectators, but that might have just been like last year. I think they sort of talked about it in the Geelong Advertiser and things before. So yeah, that time of year can be a little bit tricky too. But I think everybody had heaps of fun that did it, and I think Matt Gunther did a really good job of organising it. And some of the other guys from Surf Coast Track Club helped him out with barbecue and things like that. So I think they got some good feedback, and then they're pretty keen to keep it going and keep making it better each year. So yeah, it was good.
It's good, really relaxed feel. Croaks, you can come down next year, I reckon. You can do that race that you're an ambassador for down the Roo Run, and then stick around and do this.
Well, that's actually that's what's at the back of my mind. Is like, that's what I want to get fit for, is next year's Surf Coast track meet.
Yeah, let's do it.
Do you know Julian's the race director for Roo Run next year as well?
Yeah.
Oh, he told us last week that we have to come down for it.
Yeah, you should. It's pretty fun.
Didn't sound fun when he described the course.
Well, the course is really hard, but
it doesn't sound fun.
It's a fun night. There's heaps of good like this time of year down here, that because there's so many people down on holidays, like a lot of the towns have fun runs, and I mean, there's in areas you never see anyone out running, and there's people everywhere running. It's like good, lots of fit, healthy people around, so it's good.
That's good. Cadbury Marathon, Ali.
Cadbury Marathon, yep. So the winner was Wayne Spies, who seems to win marathons left, right and centre around Australia. So he ran 2:31. Toby Sparks was second, 2:35, and Ben MacCronan third in 2:37. The women's race, Nikki Curry won in 2:55. Carly Isaac was second in 3:17, and Kerri Hodge third in 3:20. Half marathon, Michael Marantelli 70:59, Aaron Harvey 71:43, and Peter Davison 71:47. Millie Clark won the women's race 82:15. Mel Daniels was second in 86:22, and Kylie Smith was third in 95:36. And we were discussing off air, was there a bit of controversy, long course?
Yeah, I think the bike riders took on the wrong way going by Nick Earl's Strava, and they may have ran 22k. So probably take 3 minutes
that would
off
explain
all those
those
times, at
times
least three
being
and
a
a
bit...
half minutes.
And it's not a fast course anyway, Cadbury, is it? It's fairly hilly and challenging.
Fast course if you're fit, I reckon. I remember Liam Adams ran like 62 there one year.
Did he?
Yeah.
Gosh.
Yeah.
He
had an
always...
absolute blinder.
He ran 62 on that Sydney half marathon course as well, which is not fast.
But you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, if you're an animal and you're super fit, I reckon those hills, you can kind of smash it down them as well. And you can just fly on that course. Anyway.
Yeah, right.
What do you got next, Croaks?
Yeah, so thanks to Dave Tarbottom. He often sort of sends us emails on the Monday with stuff that's been happening around the world. So just, a couple of bits and pieces here. The Alpha Fly 3 was released last week, and within 2 minutes, the whole supply on their website was sold out. And some have since advertised the shoe for resale, with one on eBay at like $746. So that came from the Daily Mail. Did you get a pair, Brady?
No, I didn't, but I saw a pair at Moose's shop on Saturday. They look good. I've got my name on the waiting list there.
Didn't help Moose too much, did it, on Saturday night?
Nah, but
he reckons they're awesome though. He's been wearing them in his marathon sessions and
but all the influencers reckon they're awesome because they get them for free. See if they're going to say bad words about them.
Yeah,
it's an interesting shoe because I remember who was it making his chapter guy at Valencia didn't have him on. And a lot of the US guys, they still go. I'm interested to see what they go over at the US trials. A lot of people seem to avoid the Alpha Fly 2. I know Galen Rupp and Connor Mance, the US marathoners, still wear the Alpha Fly 1. And it's a lot of their guys also wear the Vaporfly 2 and they don't go for the 3. And it's if it was that good, surely they're top dogs are all in it.
That baffles me, seeing guys like Chapter Guy running Valencia in the Vaporfly 2.
Tom DeCano ran, he was saying on Shoe Geeks, he ran in the Vaporfly 1 at Valencia.
Oh, see, I think the Vaporfly 1 was actually a really good shoe. It was a bit softer, and I feel like it was a bit bouncier. Whereas the 2 feels a bit more like just a traditional racing flat, where you can feel the ground underneath you. I haven't run in the 3, but surely
3 feels more like the 1.
Yeah. But so to me, the 2 seems to be the worst of the 3, and Chapter Guy's wearing that at Valencia.
Yeah.
Different people have different preferences though. You know how, because you do often hear that with all the different models, and maybe Chapter Guy doesn't like Alpha Flies, and that's why he wasn't wearing the Alpha Fly 3s. Whereas I think from what Jules was saying is they're a little more similar to the Vaporfly, they may be somewhere in between. So people that originally hated Alpha Flies and liked Vaporflies maybe might like these a bit more.
He said that on Shoe Geeks as well, I think.
Oh, did he? Yeah.
And maybe those traditional track runners as well are so used to having feeling the road underneath them, or having something whereas you jump in those real squishy shoes and it maybe doesn't feel as natural.
Yeah.
They've kind of is there any other brand that has 2 top level super shoes though? You know what I mean? It's almost like an extra option.
Of theirs?
Well, Asics have the Sky and the Edge.
The Edge isn't that super though, is it?
But it's still classed as a super shoe.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Whereas it feels like Nike roll out 2 10 out of 10 super shoes. And it's you're just spoiled for choice. Which then gets people talking about why you're wearing one and not the other one, but they're both great shoes. Just the options they've got.
Yeah, it's interesting that they've obviously just got enough money to pump into developing 2 quite different shoes.
I could have got this wrong. But didn't Kipchoge want the Alpha Fly?
He wanted, I don't know, did he want AirPods or something?
Yeah, I think so. Wasn't that, because that was the Breaking 2 shoe at Ineos. He was in that white and pink one. Yeah.
I just like when you go to a race now, though, and not every single person's wearing Vaporflies. It's good. There are actually people wearing Asics and New Balance and Adidas and different shoes. There was a period there where, at least 9 out of 10 people were wearing Nike.
Did this remind you though of early next percent days where you have to really do your homework to get your hands on a pair? And it could, you know what I mean? It's an arms race again. It's just you should just go to Nike.com and buy a pair and get it delivered to your house, or go to your retail or whatever. Now it's you got to be in the know to have this pair, and it could be an unfair advantage if you can't get them.
I feel like that's always the way though when something's first released. Even when the Vaporfly 3, I reckon there was maybe not quite as scarce as the Alphafly 3, but it was still probably initially hard to get your hands on. But then you give it a few months, and then the market seems to be flooded, and you jump on, the Nike website and you can easily order a pair of the 3s now.
Yeah.
So whether that happens with the Alpha Fly 3s, I've got a feeling that within a few months you'll be able to get your hands on a pair of Alpha Fly 3s.
Yeah, okay.
Do you think it's like a marketing thing?
Possibly,
Small release, get people desperate for them, big release?
Yeah,
Or is
100%, I reckon.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good shoe chat. Call us the Shoe Geeks from now on. Another person has left Bowerman Track Club, Courtney Fredericks. Have I said that right? Fredericks, who won silver medal at the Olympics and the World Championships in the 3,000 metre steeple, has announced that she has left the Bowerman Track Club. She's going forward. She'll be coached by Alistair and Amy Cragg, who is Pat Tiernan's coach.
Yeah.
Can't be too many left there, Bowerman. They seem to be dropping pretty quickly.
It's interesting as well, because isn't Alistair and Amy's group predominantly like Puma?
Yeah.
And I'm guessing Courtney's staying with Nike?
Yeah, apparently she's staying with Nike, so she's not part of their Puma Elite team, but they're still coaching her. So I don't know if they're coaching her remotely or if she's moving, because aren't they based in North Carolina or something?
Yeah, they are, yep.
So I'm not sure whether it's going to be remote or whether she's going to move over there, but I wonder what happens with that, like if she can train with the group or if it's, I was listening to a podcast with another girl who's coached by them the other day, though, and their training sounds really good. Like well, to be honest, it sounds, when I say good, it sounds a little similar to the way that we do things. Like sort of real strength endurance style, big volume, steady long runs, stuff like that, rather than and sessions less frequently. So lots of easy days between higher volume workouts. Yeah. Which I remember hearing Pat talking about Zatopek and how he wasn't sure how he was going to go because his training's been a lot different and much more kind of, strength endurance based. So it's interesting.
Do we know if Pat's confirmed for Houston this weekend, Crux?
I don't know, because the only press release I saw from Houston was to do more with the half, with like Helen O'Beary running and Galen Rupp. Yeah. Because
he was going to do a marathon in Jan, wasn't he?
Well, that's the one I thought it was Houston when he said Jan, because what other major marathons are in Januy?
Yeah.
And it Dubai, he didn't do that. So.
But it makes sense for him to do it. Like, doesn't really have to travel. I wouldn't be. As long as he's in one piece, I'm guessing that's the one he's going to do. But I haven't seen it confirmed anywhere.
This time next week we might be talking about it.
Yep, hopefully.
Well, hopefully he is. It'll be interesting. Like the men's marathon team's going to be quite interesting for Australia.
It might be a bit different than the women's.
How many? Well, it'll be different to the women's. It'll be like how many can they actually get in that? Can they get 3, or is it going to be 2, or is it just going to be Brett? Who knows?
Has anyone done the recent search on where Liam is? I'll do that now. Chris.
Yeah, so he's outside, and he's outside the 65. Brady, I had a look before. He's like 66 or 67. So
no.
have you got your head around that, Ellie? Because I've got it up here in front of me. It seems really bizarre. So any athlete that's ranked higher than 65th on the fielder quoted places on the Road to Paris website by the 30th of January will be considered qualified. So, for example, if Liam was inside the top 65, he would be qualified, which means Australia then definitely has 2 spots available. But then what I found interesting was that any NOC may choose to reallocate a quota place to an unqualified athlete, provided the athlete in the qualification window has achieved at least a 2:11:30 or 2:29:30 for women.
So that's what they were saying about the US trials, because they were saying as long as the winners at the US trials run under 2:11:30, they're in. And I was like, no, but the time's 2:08. Yeah,
that makes sense. Yeah, because they'll have their quota of 3 people potentially, and then
they've only got, I think, in the men 2 that have got the auto time, so they're relying on someone to be in that top 65, someone else, for them to actually have 3 spots. And then I think they basically, so the 2 guys that ran the time, that actually means nothing to them. Like they've opened up 2 spots, but they still have to come top 2 or potentially top 3 to get selected. Otherwise, it's not given to them. So Yeah, I think it would technically mean that Athletics Australia would have discretion to pick whoever if they've got 3 spots opened up or 2 or whatever.
So like they could dump Liam, even though Liam's the one that's in the quota, for Andy because Andy's run under 2:11:30.
Yeah.
Wow.
But I mean, Athletics Australia, they're not gonna do that.
No.
Like they're not gonna do something really controversial like that.
Yeah, well, Liam's also ran well under 2:11:30.
Hey,
Liam's ran.
But what it does do though, it does open up the door for guys like Andy that, let's say Liam was inside the quota but got injured and couldn't run, then guys that haven't, been inside the quota or haven't even run the time but have run under 2:11:30 can still go to the Olympics.
Yeah,
so
which is really good because the time's so fast. Like, I think that's what they're trying to do with putting the time so fast that then they're, allowing those extra spots to be made up by other people. And they're obviously trying to give the governing bodies from each country a little bit of power, I guess, as well, rather than it just being based off World Athletics rankings.
What are you confused about, Brady?
So sorry, 80 people entry number and Liam's in 66. So he's still good, isn't he?
Well,
yes, but he's got up until May.
Yeah, he's still got
to
14
get knocked
spots
out
up
of
his
the
sleeve.
80, essentially.
Yeah.
Whereas if he was inside the top 65 at the end of January, it doesn't matter what happens after that. He's qualified.
But that doesn't necessarily mean AA have to pick him.
Yeah. They can pick anybody as long as they've run under 2:11:30.
Yeah. But then if you put Ellie in this same situation and they pick the team and Ellie hasn't got to run a marathon yet. Do you know what I mean? If we went women's... When I first saw the criteria, so this was actually when I was injured, I don't know if it came out or if that was when I first read it. And I had a moment of, so AA could technically actually pick the team then if they wanted. And I knew that by then I wouldn't have run a marathon. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So, but I think Athletics Australia won't do that. I think they'll wait the qualifying period and then select 100%. The team.
Yeah, 100% they should.
Yeah, but if they wanted to, they could do that.
Yeah, because Sinead's 17th, Jen's 28th, Lisa's 29th.
Yeah, so they could go, we've got 3 in the top 30 already, let's just take those 3. Which maybe if there was a huge
gap... They have to document that, though.
But they won't do that. Well, they'll wait until the period ends and then they'll pick the 3 fastest.
It's the 5th of May. Yeah. It's a long time between the end of Jan to 5th of May.
Yeah, that's what they normally do. And I think you'd think they would tell people if they were going to pick it earlier than that.
Yeah.
It is confusing. And then, so I wonder also what happens if more than 80 run the automatic time.
Yeah.
Will they increase the field size?
Yeah, they will. I reckon. Yeah, because didn't they? Yeah, they will.
That's what they did at Tokyo.
Yeah, because you can't, I don't think you can kick people off if they've run the time.
It wouldn't be
only the ranking spots that then are gone.
No, but I'm saying they kick the people who are the ranked. They keep putting the people in who have hit that 2:08:10. But
but Ellie's
they
saying
take no ranking positions anymore.
Would they also increase the number? So say 95 people have run the automatic time. Will they then allow 95 on the start line as opposed to cutting it at 80 and then people that have run the auto time miss out? No,
I reckon they go to if they have to go to 120 have ran the time, they let 120 run.
But the problem is, I guess, because it's the Olympics, they've only got so many beds and stuff like that with all the other sports. That's where it becomes an issue.
Yeah, I know. That could be interesting. Yeah, because there's not many events where there's that many individuals.
The times are so fast that you'd think if they go over, it's not going to be by a huge amount, but particularly the men's.
Yeah. Geez.
Although already nearly 80 have run it, so.
Well, how many would still have to go again, though? Like, if you're not already on that list and don't already have a time or a ranking, do you reckon there's many, I guess this Tigist Ketema, who just ran 2:16, the female, was a new name? But there can't be that many new names that haven't got their name on there yet to still go around. Do you know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, but the names there could potentially run faster and make the actual run the time. Like maybe at the moment they're qualified by points.
Yeah, I reckon there's a lot of Africans who can do that, but I don't think there would, which doesn't matter because they're only taking top 3. But how many English, Spanish, New Zealand, guys who are in that same category as Liam who are trying to jump up, would be new to that list?
Well, it depends maybe how many marathons between now and the qualification period have like additional points allocated. You know, for example, like Oceania's big for us. You get a massive amount of points. Are there any other marathons around the world that are like area championships that get, I don't know, extra points?
Yeah, that haven't been yet, maybe.
Yeah.
Is Liam going again? Assuming he would be. Does anyone know?
Don't know. Nothing in the whisper inbox about that either.
Yeah, I haven't heard anything.
Yeah, surely, because he went pretty quick for Berlin, didn't he?
Yeah.
Backed up.
I reckon he would have another crack, just especially if he's not going to be automatically qualified at 30 Jan. Yeah. But which one he does, I'm not sure.
Okay.
Last bit of news, Brady, the 2023 Track and Field News Merit Rankings. We had a couple of Aussie distance runners in the rankings. Cat Bisset was the highest. She was 7th, and that's the first Australian woman ranked in the 800 metres for 49 years since Charlene Rendina in 1974, and Jess Hull was 8th, which is her second consecutive ranking and her highest place. So good work to those two girls.
That's good.
Does this go against your awards too?
We set our own criteria. All right.
Yes.
Yeah, we do what we want over here at the Inside Run podcast. Listener question, Croaks. This is a good one for the physio on the show.
Yeah, so it comes from Peter Sabol. I'd be interested in finding out how you guys are able to recognise a niggle from a serious injury.
That's a good question.
What do you do, Ellie? How do you know?
Well, it can be very difficult. To be honest, and this is probably sounds silly coming from a physio, but I think the best thing you can do is go and see someone early. Like, early assessment is kind of how you can stop a niggle from turning into a serious injury. And you know, you can guess, but really until you see someone or until you get a scan, you don't really know what's going on. So that would be what I would do in any case. But like, it can be really tricky to tell. Like, my bone stress injury that I had in my femur in September, it felt like a niggle. It was not that painful. It was only that it had a few sort of red flags for bone that made me stop running and get it scanned so early. But if I wasn't a physio, I wouldn't have done that, and I would have kept running because it wasn't bad enough to not run on. So I think that's where, seeing someone early is the best thing you can do, because there are some injuries, like particularly bone stress, that sometimes in the early stages it doesn't feel very bad at all, but it can very quickly go from something that's mild to an injury that's going to put you out for 10 weeks, 12 weeks. So there are certain things you can look for, but yeah.
And it would significantly get worse to then put you out for that period of time, or would it stay that kind of like dull, Like, I guess the question is, like, I get a lot of niggles, which I don't even talk about on the show because they're like 1 out of 10 things, and I feel like I just jog through them, and then 2 weeks later, it's not an issue anymore. Or I do some some little physio activities, or, Do you know what I'm trying to say? Like, do the warning signs get more as it goes? Is that what you know the difference between an injury and a niggle?
So if you're running all the time, you're going to have sore spots all the time. I think when something persists for more than a couple of days in a row, like you're going to, one day you might be running and your calf's a bit tight. The next day your hip's a bit tight. If you have the same thing and it sort of seems to persist, say for 2 or 3 days, or it gets worse, that's when you go and see someone. Pain that gets worse as the run goes on, I think, is also something you need to be careful of. Like, that can be more indicative of like a muscle strain or a bony thing. Often like a tendony thing will warm up and then it might get sore once you stop, but as the run goes on, it sometimes gets better. And they're the niggles that you can sometimes run through. Again, I would still see someone for a little bit of guidance around that and, how to manage it so that you can keep running. But yeah, like big red flags that you don't run through, I reckon, is like pain on impact when you're running that you then don't have outside of running. That can be sometimes a bony thing. Night pain, like an ache that you get at night when you're in bed. What are some other kind of bony signs? So sometimes once a bone stress injury progresses, you have pain all the time, walking around and everything. But yeah, I think the two big early ones are a pain that gets worse as the run goes on, or comes on as soon as you start running and then doesn't settle at all, and then a night ache.
Can I ask you about the night ache thing? Like I've had that like OP before, and it's like same thing. Like first 200 meters you feel it, and then you don't feel it for the next like 30k. But then you'll be sleeping, you'll wake up during the night, and you're like, oh, my like groin is like, my pelvis is like sore. So why does it come on at night? And then you won't feel it like, you know, for a couple of days or like walking around the house, but it's constantly waking up in the night, and you're like, oh, that's a bit tight.
Well, often with OP, there is a bony element to it. Like often you have a little bit of bone edema at the attachment of your ab muscle or your adductor muscle. So sometimes that might actually mean there is a little bit of bony involvement. Sometimes with inflammatory things, you do get a bit sore at night. Like if you've been lying there still for ages and then you go to roll over.
Oh, it's a stiffness side of things.
Yeah, it's like an inflammatory thing that once you stop, it sort of stiffens up and a bit of inflammation comes in. And then when you go to move, it's sore. But if you got up then and walked around the house for a bit, it might settle down. So it can be still soft tissue in those scenarios. But I think if you were lying still in bed and you had like a dull ache sort of in around your pubic bone area that was just there and you weren't moving, that can often be a sign of bone stress.
Yeah, right. I can see Pat Arnold, your mate, tomorrow.
Yeah. But like, yeah, I mean, when I got my... when I had my MRI for my hip, I had bone stress in my pubic bone, which is like OP stuff. Yeah. So there's like a difference as well. If we all went and got in an MRI scanner and scanned our whole bodies, things would show up that are completely asymptomatic and that aren't a problem, you know, because when you run that much, you've constantly got inflammation somewhere and little bits of bone stress, little bits of tendinopathies and stuff going on. So I think it's just being guided by your symptoms. And if something's persisting, you know, for more than a few days or it's getting worse, when things are getting better, you don't need to worry about them too much. But if it's getting worse or it's not getting better every time you run, then just go and see someone and get it checked out. And sometimes I think physios and health care practitioners can be a little reluctant to scan just because of all the other stuff that can show up. But I think it's, as a long distance runner, just push for a scan, because you might have to fork out a bit of money for an MRI. But if you know exactly what's going on from the start, it's just so much easier to manage it properly and also stop it from getting worse. So often, you know, something might appear to be a tendon or something else, but there's some underlying bone stress too, and people think they can keep running through it and then it gets much worse. So push for a scan if you can afford it, because, yeah, I think there's been like a lot of evidence around people seeing things on scans and then, you know, it manifesting into something even though it's asymptomatic. But if runners we're not going to worry about other stuff that shows up. We just want to know, you know, what it is that's causing our particular symptoms so that we can get on top of it and get back to running.
Yeah, right. Good answer. Croak, so you got over your Achilles from last week?
That's
a good example.
Yeah, so for me, like, one thing would be as well, like, a bit of experience. Like, if you've had certain niggles before and they're the ones that you're familiar with and know how to manage. Like, for me, for example, like Achilles, it's like, okay, most mornings I hop out of bed and my Achilles are really stiff. And so if I had to run down the hall straight out of bed, it would be really uncomfortable. But I know that once it warms up for the day, I don't have any issues. Like, even once I've finished my warm-up, I can do strides and I don't feel my Achilles at all. So I feel like that's something that I can continue to run with. But then last week, I was having like continuous sort of Achilles pain during the day after the session. I'm like, well, that's different. I need to respect that a little bit more. And so I took a day off and then I was fine. Same sort of thing with like tib post, because I've had it so often. I know that, you know, a day off, running on an even surface, some massage deep into my calf, some anti-inflams ice, I can sort of manage it. But something like a calf strain, like, you know, it comes on quickly. It means you can't run. Like, it affects your stride. So that's a big thing for me. It's like if I have to start favouring like one side then that's an injury, because you're likely to do damage to something else because you're favouring that sore spot. So if I can't run with proper gait, then that's an injury as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, that's actually really good advice, I think, because sometimes people do that. They run through something because they can, but they're hobbling along and then they end up sore somewhere else.
Good answers, guys. Well done. That's it. Do you want to whisper?
Yeah.
Big name Australian female marathoner to do Ballarat Marathon. Heard anything about this?
Oh.
Got an email the other day.
But can we guess?
Is that your backup, Ellie, for Osaka?
Not Ellie Pashley.
I actually have done some course analysis of Ballarat.
Really fun,
that did cross my mind.
130 metres, isn't it?
Yeah. Yep. It's
nice weather.
I think it was less than Melbourne.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yep. It is.
And
this is going to hurt Canberra Marathon, Croaks.
Yes, I think it's 3 weeks after, maybe.
Yeah, it's one or the other.
Yeah.
Ballarat, the thing will be the weather.
Yeah, cool.
It could be really good or it could be really bad.
Well, it's going to be cold. You just don't want it windy. Two lap course. But yeah, that was in my inbox, but we'll wait for the announcement so we don't.
Can we guess who it is?
I reckon you'd know, because potentially. Yeah. Do you know?
I don't. I've actually got no idea, but I just want to guess.
Oh, who?
Millie Clark?
No, bigger name.
Bigger marathoner?
Yep.
Sinead Diver?
I can't answer any more questions.
No, it's not Sinead.
Isn't it?
Brady thinks it is.
My inboxes are telling me it is.
Sinead?
Supposedly, yep. This comes from a very good source as well, but just act surprised when it gets announced a bit later on.
I'm going to be straight on to WhatsApp.
Can I take Moose on the loose as well, Crow? Is that all right?
Yeah, I like this. As I said, Moose is not here. Go for it.
People who put photos of their kids on Strava to try and get extra kudos on their runs. It's just cheap kudos. Stop using your children like that. If your kids can't talk or walk or don't give permission to be on social media and Strava and stuff, Strava in particular, put your kids on Facebook, put them on Instagram, put them on Twitter, put them on your Facebook family pages, things like that, but keep them off Strava.
Yeah, he knows.
Maybe the occasional one
too, doesn't he?
If you've got a cute kid, don't use them for kudos. And it's always on impressive workouts people do it. It's not just Moose. Other people do it. And it's always when they're just like, hey, here's an impressive workout, but here's also my cute kid. So I'm winning in two aspects of life.
Who else does it? Call them out.
No, I'm not going to call. I don't call out people in this segment. But yeah, I just noticed a bit of a trend coming up. Too many children I'm seeing on Strava.
Good to see you finally got off the fence after 323 episodes, Brady. Come out swinging tonight.
Hey, another serious one though. I could come out swinging with this as well because I don't know how to handle it. When people comment on your weight when you're skinnier, is that acceptable?
Yeah, so I've got an opinion on this.
Yeah, because a couple of people comment on my Strava just saying super lean or 55 kilos, and I've had issues where my weight has been a bit dangerously skinny in the past. I've got down to 54 kilos, and my sports doc was like, "This is affecting your testosterone. You need to get up." I'm really trying to be at 60 kilos at the moment, and my recent weigh-in was 59 kilos. So it's something I think about and try to keep on as much weight as possible. And then I'm like, I probably wouldn't go on someone's Strava if they were a bit bigger and comment on it and say, geez, looking a bit swollen in that photo. But it seems to be okay for people I know and I don't know to comment on my weight. And I'm just like, where's the line there?
I was going to comment that you give that man a burger because you definitely looked lean. And I guess black is slimming.
I was.
But that's offensive.
That is, yeah.
Would you say to a fat person, take a burger away from them?
No, I know. Yeah, I know it can be
seen
as offensive. Yeah.
Especially when the photo, I'm actually working on my weight and I'm in a good position with it. So you're making the joke that I have got an eating disorder, whereas I'm actually putting a lot of attention into eating and putting weight on.
So what do you weigh at the moment?
59 kilos.
Really?
Yep.
Okay.
That's what I was last Thursday before I left. But yeah, I'll get on the scales after this and take a photo for you.
You're a small, you would have been lean your whole life even before you ran, I'm guessing.
Oh yeah, a couple of rough years through uni, sinking beers and stuff. Ellie probably got out at 65, skateboarding.
We all had a blowout.
Yeah.
We all had a blowout.
And that's okay at that time in your life.
Yeah. No, but I agree because I reckon people think it's okay to tell skinny people that they're too skinny and say it in a negative way. But if you did the reverse to a fat person, it would not be acceptable. But I don't understand why it's different.
You know what my parents used to say to me when they used to see me and give me a hug? Look at you, you're a waste of good food.
Skin and bone, stuff like that.
Oh yeah, my uncles and stuff are always telling me to eat some pies and all sorts of stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's maybe the talk around it's changing a bit. But yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know, just an observation. And I said to Carla driving home, I'm like, is this odd that people comment this in 2024?
I think it's I don't think it's appropriate to comment. And like your justification to those people is like the amount that you run per week. Like you wouldn't get away if you had serious issues with your eating and your weight. Yeah. You wouldn't be able to do it.
I would have had 10 stresses. Down. Yeah.
Whereas
exactly.
Year on year you're running 7,000 plus Ks.
Yeah.
Which you can't do if you're really malnourished.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing I think people assume. Oh, yeah, like Brady's skinny, he mustn't eat very much.
We had Macca's after the race, Ellie.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just like, we're literally eating junk food. Which is a good thing, I think, for post-races to be like, but people sitting there going, oh, you're probably having celery for lunch.
Yeah. Exactly.
Green smoothies. Anyway, let me know your comment. Like, I'm really interested to hear what the listeners think about that, because I'm just like, where are we at with those conversations? But anyway, that's it. Keep your kids off Strava. Don't comment on people's weight. What's coming up, Crogs?
Bit of training. Actually, we're heading down the coast next Sunday for like four nights down to like Malul Bay, New Bateman's Bay. So that'll be nice.
Oh,
Just the family, yeah.
I lived there for a bit, Brad.
Did you? Malul Bay?
Yeah.
Lovely area.
Me and Joe bought a little shack and sort of renovated it. Now when I look back at the renovation we did, it's kind of funny.
That's why I used to see your name at like on some of the Browley Strava records or whatever.
Oh,
bit of running at Browley as well?
Yeah, because it's terrible to run anywhere except basically that section.
Yeah.
I used to get like abused if I ran on the road, cars abuse. It was I didn't enjoy running there really, but
yes, South Coast
it's a really nice little beach.
Yeah. South Coast and New South Wales are not real. There's not a real strong running culture there, and you do cop heaps of abuse.
Precision hydration review next week, Croaks.
Over the next coming month. So they're sort of sponsoring the next month's worth of shows, but we are getting some product to test out on our long runs.
Looking forward to that.
And we're also going to have some friends of the brand. So like, I guess people that are sponsored by Precision Hydration coming on, and the founder, I believe, to answer some questions about fueling.
Also, congratulations to our Garmin winner, Croaks, Kate Goanna on Instagram. That got drawn today. She picked herself up a new Garmin 965 worth $1,000. Thanks to all the people that entered that. What else is coming up? Road to Osaka. I said that before. Patreon Wednesday. Everyone else on Saturday. Shoe Geeks also going out to the public this week. And the monthly with Toby and Christian. So plenty of stuff's happening. Ellie, what's happening in your life between now and we might talk to you again in a month or so, I reckon. We've got 7 weeks to fill with Moose away.
Whenever you can't get anyone else, I'll be back. No. Nothing, just training. I think I got 3x5K on Wednesday, 40K progression run Sunday, so that'll be hard. Nothing, just training.
I was going to do 3x5K Wednesday. Now if I do it, Moose is going to think I'm copying you.
Yeah,
Doing a K float or 2 minutes?
Do it and try and run faster than what he runs.
It's hard.
We are doing K float.
Yeah.
I think about 25 seconds slower, I'd say.
Croak, you tell me what you're doing, didn't you? You said what you're doing?
Just heading to the coast.
Yeah, that's right.
Doing 3 minute hills tomorrow.
Are you?
Oh, yuck.
3 minute hills.
Yeah, so we're doing
that'd be great with your heart.
No, I'll keep it pretty controlled. So a lot of people are just getting ready for Canberra Marathon. So this is sort of that pre-marathon block where sort of just throw a few more hills, a few more sort of strength sessions in. So we're lucky that like Mount Stromlo's probably like 2.5K up the road. And so you can do sort of 3 minutes up, jog back down for like 90 seconds, turn around and go up for 3 minutes. And so you just slowly work your way to the top. We do like the guys that are doing the marathon will do like 5 to 6 of those 3 minute reps.
Good. All right, let's wrap the show up. Thanks, Ellie, for giving us up 2 hours of your time. We really appreciate that on a Monday night. Good luck for the next couple of weeks in the prep. And, hopefully we'll talk to you again soon. Thanks to you, Croaks.
You too.
No worries. Chat next week.
See you guys.
See you, Ellie.
Guys. Bye.
And I'm gonna hold my head up high. I was told as a young man, doesn't matter if you're white or black. Just show love to everyone you meet. Doesn't matter if